Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. All right, so this is a fun one for me, Dave, because, it's a new year and, you get a lot of stuff is fresh and, just kind of clean slate, so to speak. And one of the things that, we've been talking about is setting business goals for 2018. And so that's really what we're going to jump into today, guys. Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good.
So one of the things that, as a company at Avalanche that we do, and again, this is a company with almost 40 employees and we've been around many, many years. And so, you could get that perspective. We can also get the one-man shop perspective. You work
sucks at this kind of thing.
You've worked at other companies where you may have set different goals and stuff. And so one of the things that I wanted to just kind of jump into and that helped us way back in the day, because a lot of people may not know this, but Avalanche Media actually started off as Dream Systems Media. And one of the things that helped us from the very beginning was someone coming in and helping us understand, what strategy sessions were, and helping people, having people help us understand, well, what is your mission statement? What is your elevator pitch? So in other words, if you have an elevator ride with someone and someone asks, what do? You should be able to tell them everything it is about your company that you do within that time that you have that elevator ride. And so I guess the things that I would probably start off with when you're setting business goals for 2018, Dave, would be who gets involved, again, going back to the difference between a one-man shop or 40 employees and owners and whatnot. Do you get teams involved? Do you get, what kind of the management gets involved? Who helps you set your goals for that business? And so that's really kind of where I want to start with, and we'll go from there. So any thoughts on that?
So being the one-man shop, it's me.
Yes.
Me and people I owe money to for my car and stuff. Those people get involved too, because I have to pay them. But not to tangent, because I'm trying to look, because I saw your cheat sheet list. We don't usually prepare a whole lot. It's usually off the cuff, but sometimes we actually do. And Matt actually sent me a list of a couple of things, so I can cheat a little bit without going too much out of the way. But I actually have, and I have 2 calls later this week. I've been part of, they're called mastermind, like little groups. Yeah, I think is what they're called. And I did one last year for about 6 months where it was actually about, depending on the call, anywhere from 4 of us to about 8 of us. And each week I think it was every 2 weeks, there was just a topic. And then, does anyone have any business problems or anyone having any paid problems or social or SEO or whatever it was? Everyone was like kind of an expert in their own little area. But I also do one-on-one kind of, it's almost like accountability meetings. And we do it, some of them are like once a month, some of them are once a quarter. Sometimes we do it every other month. But for the who gets involved, it's me telling, and I think I do 2 of them right now. I'm going to tell 2 people this week that I'm going to do XYZ to help me move Q2 along. And they're going to tell me what they're going to do. And there is no, nothing happens other than we can, give each other a hard time about it. But it's some accountability, and it helps me think about this stuff. Like all of these questions that we're going to kind of go through from setting business goals, it helps me think about it, and it helps me prioritize it as well. Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
Especially being just one person.
Yeah, that's true. I think back to, I first started off, as a one-man shop probably back in 2004-ish. I got my very first client. And so I had to think about that. Like, it's funny because, you mentioned a lot of the same kind of stuff that, my meetings were, okay, I have X number of bills and I need to have X number of money coming in. And so, but yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I found as far as, as our team grows and as people grow, and again, you could relate this to any business, I'm guessing, but you're going to need to get people, your team members, you're going to need to get them involved and get them, you get more of a buy-in when you get them involved and get them in the process of helping you make your goals. Like we have a PPC team, we have an SEO team, we have an outreach team, we have a design team. Well, a lot of, what they do, hours that they spend or how happy they make clients or how they retain them, a lot of that affects the bottom dollar and what's going on. And so, getting them involved and helping them understand, what are some of your goals? Like, what would you like to see? Would you like to see a lower retention rate, a higher retention rate? Obviously, they don't want a lower retention rate, but, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are your specific goals and helping them, through that process of determining what that is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And getting them involved. And so I don't know if it was, different when you were on different teams, or, when you're an agency and how it worked with that. But one of the things that's worked really well is we'll do offsites. Okay. So we'll bring different teams out to, one of our partners has a cabin, and we'll take them out to the cabin. It's beautiful and get away from the office, and you can think and breathe fresh air. And, we just lay it out. We just have strategy sessions with them. What do you want to accomplish within your team, and how are you going to go about accomplishing it, and what are roles and how you define it, and then divide everything up. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, that makes sense. I think there's a cutoff of who gets involved. I think that's it's a question that needs to be asked depending on how big your company is.
Yeah.
But also within each group, each team needs to have their own kind of goals and then roll up. But if you don't have company goals, it's hard for the lower goal, the other teams. Like if I'm in marketing, what are we shooting for this year? Is it up? Is it down? Is it leads? Is it sales? Is it, are we pushing a new product launch? Is there a new service that the salespeople are going to be pushing? So I'm going to have to drive leads to that. Is the store being redone, or is the restaurant having, new items brought in that actually have better margins or maybe worse margins? So I'm not supposed to push, like what's going on, and, what's being brought down?
Something else that, when you're saying that it sparked my thought process, but something else like that we started doing is things that the employees or the people that you're part of can really get their hands on and feel like they're a part of something. One of the things that we started doing at Avalanche is having them, and we make that's a part of it. Like, so it's something that has to be done. They have to take time for charities. Okay. We give them, we pay them, that they're spending their time to work on certain charities and come up with charities, and everyone comes up with their own charity. And then as a culture, we have a culture team that we, vote on different projects. But again, we help them, go beyond just like the normal grind and help them be a part of this family and help them be a part of what we are. And I think that that's a big deal too. And I think it's going to be even a bigger deal in 2018. And just, the younger generation coming in and working, they want to be a part of this kind of stuff. And I love, there's a lot of negative talk about the millennials and this and that and stuff, but I love the millennials and just the kind of causes and the things that they're getting into. And, at least from what I'm seeing with our company and our side of it. But it's something that when we first started the business, we didn't have any kind of meetings where goals were, hey, part of our goal this year is to do better with charities. That's just not something that we had thought of. When we're first in business, we're like, we got to make money. We need to make money and survive and pay employees and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I thought it was kind of interesting how last year and going into this year, one of the things that we've, one of those goals that we set for our company. And again, this could be used for any company. It doesn't have to be an agency. It could be whatever business that you're in, getting everybody involved in something that they can really feel like they're a part of or a proud, be proud of, or that, hey, this was my initiative, or, everyone voted on this. And, even if your project didn't get, chosen, you're working with the colleagues that did, and it makes you feel good. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Yes. I got nothing to add.
Gotcha. So
not this time.
I guess what the next question that I would ask then, Dave. So as a one-man shop, like what are some of the ways that you keep yourself on task? Or like, again, it doesn't have to be one-man shop. It can be anyone that's setting goals. But like, how do they, when should they evaluate how they're doing? When should they, how do they hold themselves accountable, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I do it partly through the those meetings that I have, and I just completely, it's not even Monday.
It's all good.
Through those kind of meetings and those ongoing kind of accountability type things. But also I take a look at just my workflow, my travel schedule, what my goals are for the year, the work-life balance. What is that looking like? Am I working too much lately? Yeah, but then the 2 weeks before I wasn't. So this is kind of evening it out. What does my pipeline look like? Is it empty? Is it full? Is it chaotic? Is it, quiet? I just kind of take a look at all of that stuff. And when do I do it? I think it's ongoing for me. Yeah. It's a little bit easier since it is just me. So I kind of have an insight into everything that's going on. I don't have to talk to a salesperson and say, hey, what's the pipeline look like? Oh, we haven't given you any leads in 2 weeks. Okay. And that might come from the next point, kind of your strategy sessions of trying to get everyone on the same page. That is involved for me. And probably a small business owner who just has employees of, maybe runs a store, or an accountant that maybe just has seasonal help. Clearly it's tax season because accountants are on my mind. But, just trying to think, I try to think ahead. Like I'm already planning some travel. I did it last week for March and April. So I'm starting to look at that going, okay, what's going on ahead? What's going on in 2 months? What does my pipeline look like? Because I know I'm traveling some. What does that look like? How can I push things back? Do I really need to work more? Do I need to, how can I frame things out? So for me, it's always.
How much beer am I going to drink? This is Dave. How much beer am I going to drink? So how much more clients do I need to get in 2018? How much beer am I going to drink into it? No, just kidding.
Flights are very cheap. They're like, you've seen me. They're like $6 to $10, and that's all I get. So they're not too bad. It's best. Honestly, if you ever want to try beer at a new place, get a flight. They're usually $6 to $10, and you can try 4 to 8 beers at some places. It's a little ridiculous, honestly.
There you go. Goals for getting cheaper beer solved here.
Solved. But yeah, for me, it's kind of ongoing. And the one-off kind of meetings I have and the looking at my books and looking at my pipeline is kind of my reminder, kick in the butt. And when I'm sending out invoices and stuff at the beginning of the month or end of the month, whenever it is, or middle, I try to take a look then because I'm already kind of in business mode, not work mode for me. So then it just kind of makes sense to go, okay, let me see, who haven't I followed up lately, or who am I waiting for? Or, oh shoot, I was supposed to email these people 2 days ago.
Right.
So for me, that's kind of how I do it.
A lot of the things that I look at is, I look back at, okay, what are the things that I struggled with in 2017, or what are the things that I continue to struggle with as far as like, am I always like, again, I kind of evaluate myself. Like, was I that guy that did my slides like right before the session? Was I that guy that
define right before?
like I'm going on in 10 minutes. I better finish up this last slide.
only once have I ever done that. I've talked 40 to 45 times, and only once because I was making changes. Like on,
So,
sorry.
but yeah, that's my point. Like, so if there's things that you know that you can improve on, like, if again, if a conference organizer, and I think that to an extent they understand, and anybody that you're dealing with, obviously we're given our personal experiences here, and you could relate this to any business that you have, but if people are asking for something at a certain time, or if people are counting on you for something at a certain time, then, maybe start there, make that one of your goals. Say, I'm going to do a better job. If I've done bad in the past at getting you something on time, well, I'm going to start there. I'm going to try to be on time with certain things. And so again, maybe just kind of doing a evaluation of your 2017 is perfect opportunity to look back and say, all right, in 2017, here are the areas where, I could have done better. We didn't have as much growth, or we didn't have as high of a retention rate as I wanted, or, we really went through a lot of employees. We didn't keep people for longer than 6 months or a year, or whatever it might be. Like, what can I do to improve that or change that? And so my goal would be, all right, I'm going to be on time with people. My goal would be, we're going to raise that retention rate so much percentage. We're going to increase our revenue. We're going to, what are the things? And again, when you make those decisions, that helps you figure out things like, okay, well, if I'm going to increase revenue, then maybe I'm going to say no to certain jobs that are going to take more time, because I'm not going to keep piling up so much business that I need to hire someone else that's going to take away from revenue. And so again, there's lots of different scenarios there, but I think evaluating is the most important thing, and really, and again, setting those realistic goals. Okay. There is something that I do too, is that helps me, is I have the little, again, I use a Mac, and so I don't know what would be the PC or whatever equivalent, but I use there's a little app that's like a sticky note program, and I can go to a different screen where these sticky notes are all over my screen, like digital ones. And I basically kind of write down there things that I want to try to accomplish, whether it be for the day, for the month. And those, to me, like, I'm always looking at them, and they're like my little nags, and they bug me, and I like them to be clear, and I like them to be cleared off. And so, I do my best to have those written down so I can work on getting them cleared off. And so that's just what works well for me. But again, going back to kind of what I started off with, Dave, is I think the things that would help businesses set better goals for 2018 would be, to answer these questions. What is your elevator pitch? What is your mission statement?
Yep.
Have you had any kind of strategy sessions? Even if you're a one-man shop, you could have strategy sessions where you lay your entire 2018 out. Who all do you get involved? Okay. And Dave, in your case, that could even mean getting some of your clients involved with this, and helping them, help you understand, okay, well, where do you see our relationship? Like, is this something like where you want to grow? I want to grow with you. And again, just helping you figure out how long that they're going to stick around with you. And so all of these things I think are important, and those would be some of my best tips for setting business goals in 2018. Thoughts on that? Maybe wrap us up.
Yeah, I think you have to sit down, and like you were saying, you have Post-it notes. I use Evernote. I have a one sheet.
That works.
I have a one sheet kind of to-do list, and it's not my daily to-do list. I've used FreshBooks. I've used Harvest. I've used, that was the one I had at the agency. I changed the name. But I also, now I use Paymo, and Paymo is, my little task management, project management stuff. But for my biz dev, for my conferences, I use other stuff, and it's my long-term to-do list that anytime I'm like, okay, biz dev wise, what do I have going on? And I just kind of keep that updated. I don't use a CRM. If you use a CRM, you can totally use that as well, but I'm not big enough for one, so I just don't use it. But for me, that's like my short-term, long-term to-do list for any projects or anything that's going on strategy-wise. I just keep notes in there, and then I look and go, okay, from biz dev, here's all my notes, and here's all this stuff. From my, personal growth, personal kind of brand growth. I'm like, here's some things I want to do. For each of my projects, each of those types of things, I just kind of keep a list. And every so often, if I have an idea, go and drop it in there. If I finish something, take it off. And
I like it.
For me, that's kind of my little to-do list that I wouldn't say it keeps me on track. It's just, I was supposed to have a meeting. I was supposed to have a deliverable today, but I didn't get access to something. So now I have 2 hours. Oh, what's on that list? I haven't looked at it in a week or two. And then I start digging in.
I like that. And, we are a little bit bigger. We use Workfront. We're fortunate to know those guys.
That's what we used. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so, but we have used Basecamp. We've used Highrise. We do, FreshBooks as well. And so anyway, we'll drop a ton of links to different CRMs and tools like that, you can research out yourself and you may find useful. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them are free. Some of them are super cheap. And so we'll just give you kind of a little bit of a variety there, but all of them help with setting business goals in 2018. And I think the most important tip that I can give, Dave, and you'd probably agree with this one, is just, set some realistic goals. Okay. I mean, if you did 1 million in revenue in 2017, don't set a goal of, I'm going to do 10 million this year. And, you're going to fall miserably short. In most cases, I'm just saying, be realistic, setting goals for reasonable growth, reasonable expectations, and anything doesn't have to just be revenue related or things like that. Just set those reasonable goals for yourself.
I'm going to hire 40 SEOs this quarter.
Good luck with that.
In Chicago, all based in Chicago.
Chicago wages.
I better find some new clients. Lots of them.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you sticking with us on this episode for Dave Rohr. I'm Matt Sotola. He's with Northside Metrics. I'm with Avalanche Media, and we will hit you on the next show. Thank you, guys.
Thanks all.